Hi and welcome to JRDF's Quick Tip series on model assembly. Today we're going to show you how to glue your model together. So let's get started. The first thing that you're going to want to consider before you start gluing is your paint plan. What pieces that you want painted before you glue it together. You're not going to have access to all the areas. So for example, this isn't the piece that we're going to be gluing today, but as you can see, this is an insert piece. It's the cockpit, and this goes into the front from here. Now, as you could probably tell, that you're going to want to paint your detail in here before inserting that, or before gluing that into there anyway. So I'm just gonna, as you can see, you're not going to be able to really get in there with a brush and get all the details that you probably will want. So just make a consideration, have a look through all your pieces, work out what you want to paint before you glue it. And that'll really help things along, because the last thing that you want is to glue a piece like this into place and then suddenly realise you can't paint it and you can't remove it from the glue. So just keep that in mind as we're going along. I'm going to start off with a piece that that I definitely know is found kind of glue together in its sort of original state. So I'm just going to pop on one of these little wings. So the first thing you're going to really want to do here is just check your dry fit again. If you have decided to paint the pieces before gluing, it's really important to consider the thickness of your paint and how that's going to affect your dry fit. So for both painted pieces and unpainted pieces, just always check. Check twice, glue once is what you want to do. And just make sure that you're really happy with that fit. I'm going to bring in this little excess build platform piece here. Which was very handy in the last tutorial for magnets, and that's just a surface to put the glue on so that I'm not smearing it all over the house. So I'm just going to pop these bits off to the side. The other thing that we have is cotton bud again, the model maker's best friend. You can get them anywhere. So what I'm doing here is just removing the cotton from it, just so that we've got a nice edge, because we don't want that cotton to absorb the glue that we're using. The other thing that we are using is a gel glue. It's just another type of super glue. Some people prefer the runnier stuff. I personally find this a lot easier to work with, so this is what we would recommend. With the runnier super glue, you've got more of a chance of that kind of running onto your model, and then you've got to deal with removing any excess and things like that. This stuff is a lot easier to control, though it does take a little bit longer to dry. Generally, we would suggest using super glue for these model pieces. Any glue that you fancy, or if there's another model maker glue out there, I'm not going to tell you not to use it, but I certainly wouldn't recommend any of the cements or hot glue, for example. Definitely not the right kind of glue to use for this. So as a rule, just stick to your super glue, and you should be all right. So I think we could just get started on that if there's nothing else. So I have already checked my dry fit. Just do that again. Why not? Check 3 times, glue once, not just twice. So yeah, happy with that. And then what we're going to do, pop that there. I'm going to squeeze out a little bit of the glue here. Still onto this build platform. I quite like to have that wee extra bit of control over it. And then I'm just going to use the end of this. Just pop it in there. I get a good bit right across there. Spread that in. There we go. I think that's a good amount of glue in there. You don't want too much here, because then it's going to spill out the edges, but you definitely want enough that it's just going to create that nice layer of adhesion for your model pieces. Scrape the rest of that off. There we go. And then just before you go in, you just want to check you're making sure this is the right way. Check your references, check your instruction sheet, and then you're just going to place that in there. And there we go. Now, I tend to hold things into place, give them a little bit of a blow. I never know if that actually helps, but It helped me feel like I'm doing something. Now, it's good to say at this point as well, if you have put too much glue in, I don't think I've done too bad a job here, you can just use the end of your wee cotton bud there. Just give it a little wipe around the edge just to remove any of that excess. And there we go. I mean, that's pretty tight already, but I'm just going to leave that off to the side. The gel glue does take a little bit longer to dry, but in my opinion, it's still worth it. So I'm just going to lay this piece off to the side with its little happy face, and we'll move on to the next part. I hope this gluing tutorial was helpful. Thanks for watching. As I say, the gel glue does take a little bit longer to dry, but deal with it.